and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Kasama ko today si Tay ng Unlucky Mo Na, the podcast. Hello, Tay ulit.
Hi! Hello po.
Ayan. So, we were talking earlier about yung podcasting mo and wala si Iya. So, paano ba nag-start yung paano ka napunta sa
Mm.
sa pagpa-podcast? Kasi 'di ba dati nag-iisa ka lang.
Mm-mm.
Tapos nagkaroon ka ng kasama ng co-host si Iya,
Mm-hmm. Iya.
Iya. So, kwento mo naman.
Okay. It started po ng last year. Bale, I love listening to podcasts. Lalo yung podcast na sa ibang bansa. Kasi, actually, kinuha ko yung concept. Parang similar siya sa concept ng isang podcast sa US na teenager therapy. So, pero yung teenager therapy, 5 silang teens. And then, merong mga openly gay, tapos merong mga straight, tapos may girl. Isa lang yung girl. And then, gusto ko siya pakinggan kasi parang I am part of the conversation. And then, it happened this year kasi pampatulog ko yung podcast. So, lang, me as a person, kaya ako nakikinig ng podcast kasi 'di ba po pag gabi we tend to overthink. Yun yung parang ang dami nating naiisip na problems ganyan sa gabi. So my way to escape it is to listen to podcasts. So my head will be filled with other people's thoughts and not mine. So one night nakahiga lang ako nakikinig and then I thought of why don't I make my own podcast? And then at first I was scared because I don't know what to talk about. And I mean, sobrang iba na, sobrang lawak kasi ng podcast industry kung industry na siya. I mean, sobrang lawak ng sakop niyang audience and hindi mo alam kung ano yung papakinggan. So parang para siyang sugal eh. Parang ni-risk mo na eh. So sabi ko, okay. So siguro ang topics ko is about teenager. Kasi yun ako eh. So, diba, why would I pretend or why would I think of something na out of the box? And then, I created this siguro one afternoon lang. Nasa taas ako, nasa rooftop ako and then I was drinking Swiss Miss and then I just, ang laki mo na. Kasi nag-iisip ako ng title. Sabi ko, ang laki mo na. And then yun, doon na nag-start ni-record ko na po yung heads up ko, yung first episode. And then yeah, after that introduction, ideas just came rushing to my mind. And then, this could be a nice alternative, a nice escape for my thoughts. And then, out of boredom nga din po kasi, quarantine season, start of quarantine nun. So, parang, andun yung thoughts na, wala akong mapagsasabihan, wala akong makakakwentuhan, dahil yung mga kakwentuhan ko is hindi ko naman makikita face to face. That's why I decided to make the podcast. And it is refreshing to know that kahit bata ka pa lang, you can make your own podcast. You can voice out your opinions. That's why I made this.
Yeah, di ba yung sabi ko nga sa'yo, it's like ang swerte-swerte ng generation niya that you can do this. Kasi back nung high school ako and that was like early 2000s, the only way para makapag-record ka ng ganito is through cassette tapes. Walang digital, walang internet. Talking about kung saan ako nanggaling, like, yun nga, di ba? And now you can record your thoughts like this na hindi mo na kailangang isulat sa papel. Kasi in a way, parang pagsusulat din yung ganitong experience, di ba? Para sa mga mahilig magsulat, like, ayun, may maraming ideas sa head, pero mas madali kasing i-articulate yung uh, pag-flow ng ideas mo while habang sinasabi mo siya kaysa yung susulatin mo. Kasi minsan, di ba, pag nakatingin ka sa papel, yung blank page, nakakaano rin yan.
It's space out.
Mismo, intimidate din yung pagkakaroon ng blank page, as hawak mo yung ballpen, hawak mo yung lapis, 'di ba? Tapos may gusto kang isulat. Pero gusto kasi yun, I think parang gusto mong may urge ka na i-record, 'di ba? Yung susulatin mo. And now nandito na tayo sa time na halos hindi mo na kailangan gawin 'yon. Though kasi you can just say it and then process it later kaysa yung babasahin mo. And yung ganitong klaseng conversation. Kasi parang, in a way, nagsusulatan tayo ngayon in real time. Diba? Kaya gusto dati may pen pals. Hindi ko alam. Alam mo ba yung pen pals?
Yeah, actually my mother has one.
Wow, may pen pals pa rin pala.
Yeah, that nung bata pa siya. And then it is fun to see that she's connected with her pen pal pa rin until now. And then, ang ganda lang na makita ng generation by generation, nakikita mo yung improvement ng technology and way of communication. Ang ganda. Yeah, it is true na sinabi mo, kuya, na parang throughout the years, nagbabago yung way of communication. Like, first, pen pals, yun nga, telegrams, and then, it came to the point na eto na may messenger, may Gmail. So ang ganda nung way of communication.
And it's so fast and it feels as permanent na like parang nakikipagsulatan nga rin. Kumbaga nagchat-chat tayo ngayon and parang nilagpasan natin yung written form. And ang I guess fascinated din ako sa technology is feeling ko ito yung ganitong klaseng form yung I think mas may impact, especially if for those na gustong mag-relay, mag-transfer ng knowledge and information dun sa mga interested na, curious enough na gustong makinig ng ganitong klaseng conversation. Yun yung mga concern. I guess yung kasama sa interests nila yung ganitong klaseng topics. Kasi super hindi ko alam if this is something na embedded in my genes or something. Pero kasi yung like in my family background, madami kasing teachers. Pero ako hindi ako teacher. Baga like but maybe I'm an informal teacher because I like info, and then kapag may alam akong bago, like gusto ko siyang ituro kasi I think it's useful, or like mga fun facts, ganun, mga trivia, ganyan, di ba? Ay, alam mo ba yung ganito? Pero, yeah, so, pero yung sa isang side ng family ko, teachers, lola ko naging teacher, tatay ko naging teacher, nanay ko din, I think, naging teacher, pinsan ko may teacher, may masters pa nga siya, linguistics. While
I have an uncle na linguistics.
Wow.
Galing. Well, ang galing kasi deep inside, I think, even though you don't have that title, you don't study that profession, I think we are all teachers inside. I mean, we pass on knowledge, right? I mean, parang ang galing. Yeah, informal teachers.
And Siguro driven na rin ng I guess self-learning kasi may pagka-rebelde kasi din ako noon. May face ako na like sa schools na college, gano'n, na may dumating yung point na you question what is being taught to you. And you learn on your own. You do your own research. And doon ako sa path na gano'n ako mas naging interested. Especially if ang interest ko kasi nun, well, depende sa subject, of course. If it's math, then wala kang magagawa doon. It is what it is. Di ba? Yung mathematics na yun, exact yun, science, gano'n. Obviously, well, evidently, I did poorly in those areas. Chemistry, mga ganon-ganon. No. Pero nag-gravitate ako like nung college. I can still remember. I guess ikaw din, maybe this can be useful for you. Pag tumapak ka na sa ganon is yung may college kasi sa amin, social science and philosophy. So, yung mga subjects doon like yung social science and philosophy. Meron din sa arts and letters. Hindi kasi yun yung college ko. Sa iba ako napuntang college. Na, when I'm in college, like, in a university setting, iba yung mga colleges na yan. May mga subjects lang ako na, pag college ka kasi, meron kasing subjects ka lang in particular colleges. Mga university ka, di ba? So, kunyari sa College of Science, may credits ka doon. Let's say, kunyari first year freshman ka ng college, kukuha ka ng credit sa math, ganon. Meron kang ganon. Mga minor subjects lang, parang foundational subjects. Para pag second year college ka na, parang yun yung foundation mo, may credits ka doon. And then, doon na pupunta, let's say, kung ano yung specialization quote-unquote mo. Like, if, let's say, journalism ka, syempre, mas may iwan yung like mga science subjects, math subjects, mapupunta ka sa mga subjects ng political science, philosophy, and of course, yung mga major subjects mo na specific only dun sa course mo. Kung journalism ka or broadcast com ka, ganun, edi mga specific tactics na yun ay major, quote-unquote, major subjects mo. So, nung college ako, like yung mga social sciences, mga history, yan, geography, sociology, political science, mga ganyan-ganyan. Dun yung lumalabas kasi ang mga test dyan, hindi multiple choice. Just, ewan ko kung ginagawa na ba to sa inyo ngayon, pinag-essay kayo ng napakahaba sa high school. Ay, high school pa, di ba? Hindi ka pa
What
senior.
is your conclusion? No, hindi pa po. Junior high school.
Junior high. So, like, mga ilang libong words.
Ay, grabe naman.
Ganon ang college. Ganon ang college.
Grabe. Parang hindi pa kami ready.
Well,
siguro nasa 500 maximum.
Well,
Mm.
sige, well, pagdating mo sa college, yeah, may mga professor. Again, yun din, depende pa sa professor nyo yun or sa teacher nyo. May mga brutal na talagang gigilingin ka na in 2,000 words. Like, what's
Ubus na brain cells mo yung...
Yeah. So, I guess, well, ang technique dun is i-podcast mo ganito, tapos i-transcribe mo itong podcast mo. So, may advantage.
Pwede.
May advantage ka over sa ibang classmates mo, I guess na, well, kung may nakikinig din dito mga students, if ever may makinig, yeah, you can do this. We can't do this back then. Yung ganitong klase na technique. Like, kunyari, essay type ka. Magsalita ka lang na ganito kung ano talaga yung natutunan mo. Ang problem lang is pag talagang wala kang natutunan doon sa...
yun lang.
Wala. Ikaw, I think, mani-mani lang sa'yo. Ganito na yun eh. Record mo lang yung podcast mo. Tapos kunin mo, tapos i-type mo. That's it. Or yung...
Transcribe
mo. Or kung hindi, yung mismong audio file, send mo na sa mom mo. Email mo na. Ma'am, ito yung professor.
Bilangan nyo na lang.
Bilangin nyo na lang kung ilang words yung sinabi ko. Pero these are my thoughts. So I think, 'di ba, pandemic ngayon, parang naisip ko rin yung how you guys will change yung educational system kasi 'di ba ngayon may move to face which I totally disagree with, but sila yung nag-aano diyan. Kumbaga parang sila yung mga um, pinuno diyan. So um, it's on them if may consequences ng health sa mga students. But ngayon nga, super yun sa generation nyo. Well, naabutan din namin, of course, obviously. But for you guys, kasi mas plastic pa yung neurons nyo, you have the chance na acquire information easier than, kumbaga like, if I can be a high school student again with all these tools, parang napaka daling mag-formulate ng ideas and then i-transfer yung ideas mo dun sa mga gustong makinig and mga peers mo, yung mga meeting, ganun, palitan na lang ng ganito, di ba, yung communication and things like those. So, yung dun sa podcast mo, dun sa Unlucky mo na, bakit or ano yung drive dun sa mga subjects mo? Yun nga, yun din yung gusto ko, I think, na ma-share, I guess, mapag-usapan. Again, yun yung conversations na, like you said, na conversations that have to be done. I guess you're talking between your peers. Yun nga yung like gender sensitivity, gender roles, toxic masculinity. But why for a 14-year-old starting? Bakit ang heavy agad? Ano yung nagtulak sa iyo to have those kinds of subjects?
Well, I mean, as a student, syempre may mga mentors, may mga teachers po kami na hindi lang sila nagtuturo hindi lang sila nagpapass on ng knowledge, nagpapass on din sila ng what do you call this, ng senses. I mean, ng aral sa buhay, like nag-go over the line na. So, for me, parang may mga matatanda din kasi na, I mean, in the first place, bakit ba magkakaroon ng conflict about genders, or bakit magkakaroon ng conflict about these social topics kung natakal na siya dati? So that's why I want to discuss these topics in my podcast, in my own platform, because hindi siya napag-usapan dati. I mean, hindi siya natakal dati. I mean, if natakal ba siya dati, pag-uusapan pa rin ngayon. 'Di ba? Parang in the last sa generation niyo, kuya, I mean, open ba kayo sa ganang topic? Like, toxic traits ng parents or gender roles? Naging open ba kayo nun?
Personally, of course, gusto ko yung mga ganyang topic. I can only speak for myself and not my generation. Kasi
but as a society,
it's too complicated. I mean, it might sound kasi the subject of society is complicated, but it's fascinating, of course, kasi makikita mo dyan how groups of people work together to build whatever it is. But at the same time, it has its own, kumbaga, shortcomings. Kasi we're talking about society, evolve in terms of dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. It evolved so fast from our, kumbaga, parang old society na essentially slave master relationship, 'di ba? Kasi for 300 years Spanish, second class citizen yung mga tao dito, tapos biglang freedom, tapos anong gagawin natin? So may mga ganong yung 300 years na yon, Kumbaga, that's a long time na may traditional, hindi mo basta-basta kayang tibagin yun na complicated na, mayroong mga ins and
Yes.
outs na unwritten, unspoken rules na, you can talk about this because, our religion is this, and then you can act like this because if you act like this, you seem weird, and if you seem weird, you don't belong, you be in the, So,
Yes, that's my point. I mean, as a society, ang hirap eh. I mean, iba-iba kayo ng opinions, right? And maybe people in the past generation is not ready for that conversation. That's why it is ignored. It was ignored. Um, for me, I think in this generation, it is important na pag-usapan yung topics na yun, i-open yung topics na yun, kasi dati hindi siya napag-usapan. And kung hindi namin pag-uusapan ngayon, sino ang magtatakal nun in the future, right? I mean, we will just leave, we will just leave on this topics and these traits na hindi naman, alam namin sa sarili namin na mali. Pero it will be, it will make us guilty or makukonsensya kami kung hindi namin pag-uusapan or kung hindi namin ipo-point out yung mali. I mean, for me, I mean, it is my responsibility or my job to pass on like eye-opening facts or eye-opening conversations to my generation, because if not, who will speak for them? Who will speak for us, right? And maybe that is why I made this I decided to tackle these topics, because kung sino ang kung hindi ako at kung hindi kami ng mga kahenerasyon ko ang magsasalita, sino ang magsasalita para sa future? Ang hirap. Kung kami pala ngayon, kalaban na namin ang past generations, ang mga adults na may mindset na fixed na yung mindset nila na ganito ka dapat umarte kasi ganito ka, kasi ganito yung gender mo, kasi ganito ka sa ganitong pamilya ka galing. I mean, if sila yung kalaban namin, ang hirap na nun para sa amin. And I mean, I don't I don't speak for myself lang. I mean, we don't want our children to suffer, to face the same consequences. Of course they will face the same consequences. They will face heavier consequences, but kasi kapag naranasan mo na, hindi mo na pwedeng i-ignore eh. I mean, sa Twitter, sinasabi nila na kapag namulat ka, kasalanan ng pumikit. That is accurate. I mean, nakita mo na kung gaano ka-cruel yung society in the past years, kung gaano ka-cruel yung invasion and yung yung na-colonize, kung paano na-colonize yung Philippines. And if we will not if we won't like establish our own mindset as a Filipino, is lagi nang ba ililive up na lang ba natin yung mga tinuro sa atin ng mga Spaniards? Parang ang hirap kasi you are trying to build this mindset. You are trying to plant these seeds sa mga tao na ang tagal na sa kanilang bumunga yung ibang idea. So, kung itatabi mo yung isang malaking puno na full of knowledge, pero about siya sa colonization, and magtatanim ka ulit ng isang binhi, parang, alam mo, ang hirap kalabanin, di ba? Pero, dahil mahirap kalabanin, hindi ibig sabihin nun, hindi na dapat pag-usapan. Hindi ibig sabihin nun, kailangan ng ignore. The challenge that you accept is hindi dapat i-ignore just because it is hard to face, just because it is hard to beat, because of the 300 years of colonization. Hindi, yon. So yun yung concept ko. Yun yung naisip ko na if, if yung mga tao, yung mga adults, or sa generation namin, kung i-live up lang namin yung culture, yung norms, yung mindsets na pinas on sa amin ng 300 years. I mean, our oh, why are we still expecting for a change if we cannot bring change to ourselves, right? So yeah, I think that is my to change the mindset of the people. Or kung hindi man yung past generations, yung generation ko na lang. So, yeah.
That's very uh, that's a very noble goal. You know what you said. Pero alam mo, uh, it's it's um it's parang nakakatuwa na there's young ones like you na talagang willing to discuss this, but to address your question, bakit 'di ba yung among us peers and ano,
Mm-mm.
there are some people na actually living your they're actually living your parang mga nasa ideations na um, uh, na na sorry yung naiisip mong level ng like acceptance, societal acceptance na like deviating from the norm, may mga tao na nun. And na like I personally know some people na they're living like beyond the society's expectations, ganun. I understand na gusto nyo ng makakita ng transformation ng society because that's the nature, I think, ng traditions. They are supposed to be challenged. But then again, meron din kasi silang utility. Kasi some
Mm.
traditions have great utility. Like, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
it's parang ang unfair naman sa mga past generations din. If
Yes.
ibabagsak lahat yon, kumbaga tutunawin mo lahat yon and then
Mm-mm.
start anew. Because like you said, mahirap. 'Di ba? You plant seeds now,
Mm-mm.
ang fruit niyan is like 300 years later. Wala na tayo lahat nun. But that's it. Yun yung sinasabi ko to Suway. Parang, that's why I said it's a noble, heroic, uh, parang job, and you're taking on the responsibility of doing it ngayon sa generation mo to start making those conversations. Kasi yung mga ganong klaseng conversations, even me, yung mga ganito, look, case in point, right now, it's yung mga cultural stuff na ganyan, it doesn't have the much appeal sa mga tao sa paligid mo kasi like mahirap humanap ng peers to talk about these subjects kasi busy sila sa work. Kailangan nilang
Right.
rumakit. This is it. This is where ibabangga mo yung um, ideal state into the current framework. Yun yung dun lumalabas yung friction. So pag binangga mo yun, like
Mm-hmm.
sure, um, let let's say sabihin natin na of course maganda yung mapag-usapan yung ganitong things, like, but on the other hand, yeah, nang may mga oras to discuss it, like si tito si tita, madidiscuss mo ba sa kanila ang let's say gender roles at ang how to mitigate yung effects ng patriarchy at immature masculine sa mga current society, and we will change it into a better one. Iwang ng mga tita. Iwang ng mga tita mo. Me personally, like sa inuman, ganon. I mean, speaking for myself na my peers, sa ibang socialization, what they wanna talk about is bihira yung taong in if you bring down the ideals into the ground, itatapak mo siya sa lupa and apply it to the current framework ng how the current people interact, like yung sa network mo mismo, you can't even get them to listen for like get their ideas into 15 minutes unless sabihin mo sa kanila, ma'am, pang school project to. Ganun. they don't know naman, I think, na this is, this really means a lot to you, right? So like in the bottom of your talagang it's like the bottom of your head and your heart na this is important. You feel it. Na we must talk about this. But again, yun nga, how much time to talk about it is another matter, di ba? But it's good na, like, I guess yun nga. So what happens? You talk to yourself. You make a monologue. You make a monologue. You talk to yourself because you have the time. I think that's it. That's one factor. That's why we, our generation, like the middle-aged ones, are not talking about this, like in private conversations and casual
Mm-hmm.
conversations, ganon. Is it's too much. Kumbaga, if it's too complicated a subject na parang actually if you feel na wala siyang masyadong practical, wala siyang utility at this point, at this
Mm-hmm.
point in time. Wala siyang, even how much, even the sad part is, but don't be, again, yung sabi mo nga, don't be disheartened by the challenge. I think just by talking about these things, we can plant the seeds of like conversation. We need to have conversations about these
Mm-hmm.
subjects, but you have to allot time for them. And um, uh, of course, finding those people who want to discuss those conversations with you is another matter, and it's a lot of work. But it's an honest work. It's noble work, and yung mga subjects na ganyan, I think uh, for your peers, I guess I'd like to hear those. I think wag mo nang i-expect na from my age group at saka sa mga older age groups yung mga changes na like mga brand new ideas, such as yung mga concepts na ganyan na like yun nga, mga ganyang klaseng concepts na gusto mong i-implement or gusto yung makita na implemented in our framework, in our society. So like
Mm-hmm.
um yung mga subjects na ganito, diba, na discuss mo yung like you've talked about the toxic masculinity and the gender roles. Ano pa yung sa tingin mo yung mga conversations na topics na dapat ma-address at marinig ng mga nasa past older generations?
Oh, that would be hard because my target audience is teenagers, and then if I will speak with adults, that would be really hard because they have this fixed mindset already, and it is hard to change it, or it is hard to beat that. I think the easiest way to communicate with them is to talk about why do we pursue these new ideas, these new traditions and norms as a Gen Z. Kasi some adults don't understand why we do this, and why do we fight for our like rights and traditions and everything. I mean, hindi nila, I mean, I don't speak for all of the like sa past generations, but I encounter these adults na I don't understand yung mga kabataan ngayon. Bakit parang gustong-gusto nyo na parang gustong-gusto nyong i-ignore yung past mindsets, yung mga mindsets na kinalakihan na ng mga magulang nyo. Bakit hindi nyo na lang sundin yung mga magulang nyo? Bakit hindi nyo na lang i-live up yung yung mindset na naging tradisyon na sa pamilya nyo? Bakit hindi? Bakit kailangan nyo pang gumawa ng sarili nyong quote-unquote kulto para ipa-realize. So, yun yung mga thoughts ng mga adults na na-encounter ko. And, isa lang yung goal ko is to prove them that we can be independent too. Kasi, if, for the past, 300 years, walang, walang pagbabago eh. I mean, sige, there are changes, but where's the plot twist? I mean, we are all waiting for the plot twist, but we are not willing to be that plot twist. And uh, I think it is important to discuss that, not only with my generation, but also with with the older generation. Because if if we're gonna not if we're gonna talk about it lang sa aming group or sa aming generation, paano kami makakakuha ng suporta mula sa, I mean, hindi naman yun yung mismong goal lang namin na, kailangan po namin ng support system nyo, ganyan. Hindi, no, no, no. I mean, gusto namin ipaintindi kung bakit namin pinaglalaban yung mga norms and traditions and mindsets. And I think that is the safest way. If I'm gonna talk if I'm gonna talk with the older generation, I'm gonna try to make them understand why do we do these topics? Why do we open these topics? Why are we open, and why are we willing to discuss, to tackle? Kasi hindi siya napag-usapan, I mean, bihira or hindi siya maingay. Kasi ngayon ang ingay na eh, ang ingay na, meron ng LGBT, meron ng, alam mo yung mga organizations na hindi naman siya maingay dati kasi hindi siya accepted ng society. And at the same time, hindi lang sila yung makaka-benefit. Kami rin makaka-benefit din doon. Because gusto din naman tanungin, bakit hindi niyo po piniling itakal siya dati? Or bakit sinunod niyo po yung norms and yung traditions na nilive up ng older generation? I mean, I think that is the safest way. And that is the safest way to tackle na magkaroon ng conversation with adults. So, yeah, one day I want to, like, if papalarin, I want to guest some people older than me. So we could talk about my generation no, versus and their generation. Because it is fascinating how how the conflict works. I mean, ang daming banggaan eh. Ngayon pa lang, ang kalaban ng mga Gen Zs, ng mga Millennials, yung tita mismo, yung mga titos and titas of Manila. Like, manahimik ka na lang dyan, ganyan. Maghugas ka na lang ng plato mo, sumubsob ka na lang sa libro mo, mag-aral ka na lang. Manahimik ka na lang. And, the more na sinasabi yun ng mga tao, the more na binabato sa amin yun, we choose to stand up and we choose to voice out our opinions. Because, yan din yung ginawa sa kanila eh. Right? Ganun din, yun din yung ginawa sa kanila eh. So, ayun, if I will be given the chance, yeah, gusto kong pag-usapan yun. I want to make them understand, and I want to understand why this conflicts appeared, or bakit siya hindi na pag-usapan dati and ngayon lang nagbo-boom. Ngayon lang siya nagpa-pop up. Yeah.
I think I'm only gonna speak for myself. Ito yung, again, I mean, you can take it me as a representative of a whole age group or a generation or something like that. Pero ito kasi yan, based of course, mga nagbabasa-basa ako and my observations, like what's happening, being aware ng sa mga like societal issues, like what's written in the media, what people are talking about, yung mga concerns. The thing is, as you move forward, as you age, you tend to be more of an observer sa society rather than a participant.
Mhm.
That's one of the things na
Mhm.
you kasi you have a chance to participate kasi you have more time. Again, responsibilities on my end, especially if you have if because you it may cost kasi yung independence eh. When you become
Mhm.
independent, you have to think a lot about the practical things na kailangan mong i-maintain. It's just not, of course, like parang one time big time na of course I'm independent. Okay, I've moved
Mm.
out of my parents' house. I have a job. I have a career. What now? There's some other stuff. Okay,
Mhm. Mm.
there's some other stuff in the adult life that you have to think about constantly. The things you can think about constantly right now, you won't have time for them when you become independent and start get your own apartment because you have to deal with the
Mhm.
landlord, or if you need your own house, mga ganyan-ganyan. The small stuff, the big stuff, papasok yan sa'yo. So the more you think about those, maintaining your own um, I guess, space in the world, the actual world, not in the ideas, world of ideas, is, let's say, yeah, isip ka ng isip sa, like, nawawalan ka ng luxury to think about high-level concepts and yung mga
Mhm.
matters that concern individuality and yung mga social issues na ganyan. Um, cause madumi yung sahig mo or yung sinampay mo uulan, or of course umaga tanghali hapon, you have to do practical stuff. You need to cook, you need to deliver to your
Mhm.
job, you have to deliver to your deadlines, you have to, so yung time um that you think about those abstractions gets less and less, and time moves
Mhm.
forward. You can't get time to stop. Okay, it moves forward. You don't have the luxury. You expend your energy. Napapagod ka. Which are you gonna do? Pagkatapos mong maghugas ng plato, pagkatapos mong magwalis, pagkatapos mong mag-ayos ng basura, pagkatapos mong mag-agyo-agyo, pagkatapos mong maglinis.
Practical things.
Yeah, lahat ng yung pagkatapos mong bayaran yung pagkatapos mong bayaran yung kuryente, tubig, pagkatapos mo mag-work from home, na email mo na sa boss mo yung requirements, pagkatapos doon kailangan mo mag-develop ng bagong proposal para sa bagong project mo. Okay, ilang hours na yung kakainin mo na yun, time went by, nawala na lahat ng yun iniisip mo. What are you going to do? Think about abstractions, about um, let's say, um, the you know issues about gender sensitivity, or take a nap. So
Well,
that is the
mhm.
situation. All right, just to, I'm not
Mhm.
trying to fight you on this. I'm just laying out. I think we don't need to fight. It, um that's the situation for us in the, in the independent. That's the cost of independence. Okay, I understand the
Mhm.
value ng individuality. Okay, kasi I think from what you said, the Gen Z, one of the values is being individual. Like, you do you, 'di ba? Like, live
Mhm.
and live according to your own standards. And, I don't know if YOLO pa rin yung yung catchphrase, pero dati that's like sikat na sikat, like YOLO, YOLO. And kasi parang sa inyo lumabas yung okay boomer generation eh, 'di ba?
Yeah,
So
opo,
I guess
yes.
kumbaga parang in a way kami na yung mga boomers ngayon. But
Mhm.
um there's a danger, or there's a danger na if you move too much forward in those like mindset, then again, may costs kasi yan na hidden costs. It's not monetary costs. But one thing you have to remember if when you deal with issues like societal issues na mga ganyan, na mga in terms of values, individualism contra, let's say, collectivism, to participate, it's a game. Okay. Society is a game. Just like, some other aspects that involve groups of people. It's a
Yes.
game. Let's say the family game. To belong to your family, you have to act a certain way. You can't be you can't truly be yourself. 'Di ba?
You
You
have to
have
fit
to
in, like.
not really fit in, but I think the more accurate way to say is to explain it is you have to work with the framework. That's it. Because we have
Yeah.
frameworks. Naka-ano na yan, again, yung mga frameworks na yan is, nandyan na yan. There's like some set frameworks on how to act inside your family. Those frameworks are set by your parents. Diba? And your titos and your titas. It's a framework. The framework may not be flexible. It's like, if you can think of it as a box, think of it like a box. If you think of it like an ocean, think of it like an ocean. But the framework still exists. In that framework, there's tradition, the norms, the beliefs ng, ano pa lang to, family pa lang to. And then you work with those. Otherwise, if you deviate from that, kasi may borders yan di ba? So, like, meron kang, like, if you act beyond the borders of your family's framework, what do you get? You get disapproval ng parents mo, ng titos and titas mo, lolo, di ba? You're the black sheep, di ba? You can feel that. Now, you can extend that concept to society itself. Society has a framework. That framework, kaya nandyan yan, is, it was built through time, di ba? And again, the society, if you want to play the society game, like if you want to participate, may cost yan.
It's a gamble,
Ang cost,
actually. You're risking your morale. You're risking your beliefs and mindset, and I
yeah,
think
ang
that that is the hesitation that people have kapag no, wag na natin yan.
So, if you want to be part of society, here's the thing. Here's the like unchangeable truth about it. If you want to belong, if you want to play the society, the group people game, you have to kill some part of your personality. You can't be an actual individual, like full individual na uncompromising with your views, with your values, your actions. You have to, if you want to play the group game and want some belongingness and some sort of approval, you have to really, that's it. That's yun yung taya. As you said, it's a gamble. Kasi game nga siya. You have to itataya mo talaga yon, some part of your, let's say, if if you wanna walk, let's say, like, di ba, this is gonna be a bit, I don't know, a bit of a tightrope, but kunyari yung mga gustong mag-express ng sarili nila through clothing na, di ba naging issue to yung like, let's say, gusto mag-dress ng sexy tas naka-catcall. Of course you can. Alright? You can. You can do that. There's nothing wrong about it. There's nothing wrong about expressing yourself as an individual. Okay? Let's say you're in your own space. Nandun ka sa, let's say, bahay mo. You're in your own territory. You're an own individual, and then you can dress however you want. Okay, but as soon as you step outside and you decide to play and participate in the society game, isinusugal mo yung right mo na yon. That's your individualism. Kasi when you go into the society's framework, yun na yun. Makikita ka na like a lot of people, nagiging collective game na siya eh. So like nagiging yung values nun is a collective values. Yun na yung tradition nga natin. Na makikita ka nun, uy, it stands out. Kumbaga like, yeah, it's an individual. Some people might look at you and said, yeah, I like to be that guy or I like to be that girl. Expressive, you know, it's like not ashamed and with chin up, and she can do this or do that. They're so brave, ganon. But on the other hand, the existing framework will say na some people will look at you na with a disapproval cause yung existing framework, yung existing values na na-develop through the framework is not compatible with that, new thing. It's like parang germs sa antibodies, di ba? So parang there's gonna be some push. Like, what's that? It doesn't fit in with my value system. Na like again, it's the collective. It's not actually the individuals that hate you. Maybe they were just sasabihin nila, oh, ayoko niyan kasi they're also just trying to fit in. Ayaw nilang ma-left out dun sa mga group mates nila, sa mga tropa nila. So kapag sinasabi nung isa na, let's say the leader of their group or nasabihin nila, that's not cool. Sasabihin niya, yeah, that's not cool. Parang, alam mo yan, yung mga taga-yo-yo na, it happens. It happens on the societal level as well. And so, yeah, and then, yun nga, so, tumaya ka, you risk your individuality to participate in the society game, then makakakuha ka ng backlash. So be ready for it. I think what I can say about it is just get ready for the backlash. Yes, you won't fit in, but you got to learn to live as a misfit. 'Di ba? You got to learn how to live as a misfit. Kasi that would mean na hindi ka makakapag-participate sa society game. Right? So, kasi misfit ka eh. You're on the fringes, on the edges of society. Nandun ka sa gilid lang, Kasi again, wala sa framework. Wala ka sa framework. Nandun ka sa mismong gilid. There's an advantage and a disadvantage about it. But I think you gotta keep it in mind, especially if you want to change the value system, if you want to have seeds of individualism. I think you truly value your individualistic value, but on our current framework, hindi, alam mo yan, can you, individualism is, hello, sorry, nakat tayo.
Hello, okay.
Ayan. Well, yeah, I was saying, sorry, napapatagal yung kasi it's a really, really, really big thing to crunch. Yung subject na yan, which is, again, individualism and collective values. So, what's happening now? Well, that's why we're experiencing this kind of crisis. A generational crisis between, the boomers, quote unquote, the Gen Z, and the millennials. Kasi nagkakaroon ng, I guess to give you a bit of idea, yun yung nangyayari sa atin ngayon, I think for me. There's this pain sa transformation. Nagta-transform na yung society eh. This is the pain na we all have to deal with. that you have to deal with, your generation Gen Z has to deal with this kind of pain of transformation. And that is, of course, you're the new ones. You're the, you have the energy, the time, and the opportunity. And para dun sa mga nagkaroon ng mga like fixed mindset, a bit of fixed mindset, like us in the upper end of the age group, that is, for most of us, ang kailangan yung i-consider is, yun nga, the changes. Well, for me personally, I don't mind. Like, I have a pretty open mind about these, such things, as long as, of course, they don't go overboard. Like, may mga bagay kasi which is na super individualistic, that it borders on narcissism. And we can't have a society based on narcissism and individuality alone. Diba? Because we have some of us have to act as a collective to get things done. Diba? Like, you can't do construction business, or you can't build the house by yourself. Yes, you can, pero ang tagal. So you have to work with others. I think we have to work with others. We have to work with others to get things done. I think that's it. That's the challenge for your generation, is to get people to listen, I guess. So you gotta make more podcasts. You gotta make more podcasts. And I think from my end, I guess my hope is that from our end, that's why actually, diba, yun nga, that's why I had this push to speak to you about these things, is, I guess, in a way for me to get a bit more representation from where we're coming from, so we could meet in an equilibrium at the very least. Kasi this is what's lacking, conversation, diba? I think you'll have to agree. You can't get people to listen to you because you're young.
Yes.
So, I think if you're gonna make more podcasts episodes pa, anong mga like specific misunderstood issues about Gen Z would you like to get conversation going?
Like what topic?
Yeah, like what issues? Kasi diba of course there's some misunderstanding. Kasi nga just why we need to communicate and talk about these topics, not to really win, but actually just get into an agreement na at least mutual respect, to a point of let's agree to disagree at the very least, diba? You have your thing, I have my thing, but we can still be in harmony and not in conflict, but we can agree to disagree. Ano yung mga like yun nga, misunderstood things, or misunderstood behaviors or ideas about the Gen Z that you'd like to discuss about us older / past generations?
Okay, that's.
You don't really need to
I
think
think-
hard about it. It's just like what? I mean, sorry. You don't really need to think hard. I know this conversation turned medyo heavy, and we're talking about big things, but just maybe we can do it on other episodes. We can talk about it more at length. So yeah, I'm interested. So like when I encounter a kid, or like at least I'll have an idea how to approach the conversation, I guess, or let's make others understand, like alam mo pare kasi ganito sila, diba? Kasi ako actually I
Yeah.
get to, I guess what ano yung mga, yeah, what is misunderstood, oh,
Misunderstood.
yeah, about that
Okay.
you'd like to be understood, so we can live more so we can understand each other and not be in conflict.
Oh, okay. Siguro the fact na sinasabi na just because I have other opinions, I mean, just because I have a different opinion than yours, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong or you are wrong. Siguro that topic. Kasi, ano yun eh, opinion nga eh. Opinion siya eh. So, hindi ka, hindi mo pwede diktahan na, ito mali to, ito, tama to, ito, in between. Hindi siya ganun eh. Siguro, yun, siguro yun yung misunderstanding na sinasabi na, kasi, ang ano agad ng past generations ay, mm, hindi valid yung opinion mo kasi, I mean, as talaga nakakita ko, first-hand experience, nakakita talaga ako sa social media na may mga accounts ng mga mid-40s, mid-30s na people na hindi valid yung opinion mo kasi bata ka pa, tsaka mas maganda kung gagawin niyo yung ginawa na namin dati kasi proven and tested. Ganyan na okay na nasubukan na, proven na at ano siya, uh, successful siya. So, yun, siguro po yung misunderstanding na yan na just because you have I have a different opinion than yours. Than the opinion you have, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong or you are wrong. So yeah.
I see. Well, yeah, I think we've covered yung yeah, we've covered actually it's my notes here of what we'd like to talk about in this episode. So, yeah, because we have to make another one. And I think this, but yeah, I enjoyed having you in this episode. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, of course, talk about other things in your episode because we're gonna make another one, diba?
Yeah.
But yeah, if this was too heavy for you, because of course, you can consider. I also considered like the of course uh, yung gravity ng topics na pag-uusapan natin, the subjects. But all in all, I'm still thrilled now we get to have this conversation. I guess what you're saying.
Thank you very
This
much.
is this is a start. We can have more of
Mm-hmm.
these conversations, I think, because it's fun, and I learned a lot from what you were saying, and
Thank you. Thank you so
what
much.
you'd like to say, and also for lending me your ear sa mga I guess what I have to say too. And yeah, anything you want to promote or
Mm.
for whoever's listening to this right now before we
Wow.
end.
Of course, my podcast, my own podcast. Unlucky mo na. So you can find episodes there na about forgiveness and to do and not to do when giving advices and saying no and um every topics that you had dati na nagkakaroon ulit kami ngayon ng sarili naming opinion. So that is one. And then my Instagram account for the podcast because I post there whenever I launch a new episode. So at Anlaki mo na. So yeah, that's it, Kuya. Thank you so much for having me.
Well,
It's thrilling. I mean, I love the idea, like the idea that you said earlier, na practicality, and I want to feature. I want to talk about that in the future. I want to focus on that. It's nice. It's nice.
yeah, I mean, if you, yeah, we can do it. We can do another episode all about, I guess, adulting for. I mean, yeah,
I love that.
yeah, like, yeah,
Hands up.
heads up, yeah, heads up kung ano yung mga um real life actual stuff na papasokan nyo as you age up and as you grow up and as you um make yourself the way, parang like clay na as you sculpt your own destinies and I guess yeah, that's gonna be a thrilling episode. So yeah, to the audience, to the listeners right now, thank you so much and see you next time and yeah, stay safe.